Welcome to another edition of Catching Up with the Cats presented by Atrium Health. Joining us today, head football coach Scott Abell. Coach, the fall looks a lot different than what it used to. Give us some insight on what it looks like for your team day to day.
Hey, Jake, thanks for having me on. And certainly it's the most unique fall of my career. I can't really put anything that would compare to it. And I'm sure everyone feels the same way. And so, what we're now doing is taking this extra time that we had to kind of reacclimate our players to workouts, to taking this extra time to really make sure we're looking at their health and getting them back in shape and, to address those needs. So when the time comes, we're allowed to get back on the field and we've done some skill work, right, that we've been allowed to do, but really get back into football that we're as best prepared as possible. And, we've also used this time in the fall to, create some different subgroups inside our program. We're creating a unity council that will really lead our effort and our charge with, racism that we see in our culture daily that we know is a prevalent thing in today's culture that everyone's dealing with. And we want to be at the forefront of leading that for our campus. So we've taken some time to really peel back the layers of that and talk to our team about that. And so it's definitely a different look for us, but the thing we said from day one, how we're going to take this obstacle and turn it into opportunities. And I really think our players, our staff have done that.
Yeah. You lost the spring practice season, which has been really helpful to your success in the first few years of your program. How important is it for you to have this fall practice time now to fine tune the returners and to get your newcomers up to speed?
Well, yeah, I think it's a great question. It's a great period for us. And I think we were all, certainly taken back a little bit when we lost our spring. Maybe me, not so much as a lot of head coaches around the country, just because, really for my career up until the last few years, I haven't had a traditional spring practice, right? My environment hadn't allowed that, permitted that. And so this has been great for the development of our program. But at the end of the day, I somewhat knew how to navigate those waters, right? Now, these waters in the fall are different, right? I've never navigated these. So I do believe it's important to really get back and to the football, to teaching, and to educating our program and our players, to why we turned the corner, why we've been successful. What were the things we did from the beginning? And that's been our approach. So we went back and looked, okay, when we started this 2 years ago, what were the things that we put a emphasis on? What were the premiums? And where do we need to go back there and start that way, whether it's the basic fundamental of the install or our approach? And some of them we say, oh, yes, let's do that. And sometimes like, no, we don't need to do that. But specifically with our players, I think it's a vital time for our freshmen and our younger guys, right? Our sophomores didn't get a spring practice, right? And so they lost development time that I think probably hurt them more than anybody, okay? And I think on the other hand, for our first years and our freshmen, this helps them more than anybody, right? Freshmen usually come into fall camp just swimming, trying to catch up day to day. And now we've now been given this time to slowly install, to take our time to teach, to really do things, in a very controlled environment. And I think that really will help our freshmen as we hopefully point to a spring season, right? And so for our sophomores, I think this was instrumental to give them the opportunity, hopefully to showcase themselves after they fully understand everything.
Following along on social media, it seems you guys have already had success locking down some future recruits from the class of 2021. What's recruiting going to look like this fall for you and your staff?
Well, right now we're somewhat being held back, I would call it a little bit, by the rules. The NCAA has put a up until October recruiting dead period. So we're doing everything by phone, by Zoom, and I'm really proud of our staff. It's been an incredible recruiting season for us. We're up to 22 commits, right? So we're not far from being done, right? So we have a couple needs we still need to hit, but we've landed some really unbelievable young men, scholar athletes that I know will make a huge impact on our campus and in our program. and I couldn't be more excited about them. And, when this period in time started for us in March, our first meeting, we talked about, okay, what were the things we could control? And one of them was, we couldn't coach football on the field, right? So, but we could stay connected to our team somehow, some way. So we worked on that. Another part was no one's going to out recruit us, right? If all this extra time we had, we would use it recruiting, writing letters, connecting with recruits from across the country. And that really paid off for us, right? At the end of the day, recruits want to go somewhere where they know that you have a plan for them, that the education they're getting is meaningful and impactful, and that they see genuineness. And I think our staff did a great job of portraying those things. And here we sit with 22 commitments, and couldn't be more pleased with where we are. Now we do have to finish up, right? So that's what we'll spend this fall doing, finishing this class up, adding the few kids that we know we need to get to make this what may be the best class, maybe in the history of the program, far back as we can see. And so excited for that.
Yeah, that would be a great, compliment to what you guys have already done.
That's right. Yeah.
It's a different, strategy you guys are having to take, and to say that is huge.
Well, it is. And you don't ever know until the classes get here. So, and it's a tall order, and I don't want to put that pressure on the current recruiting class, but we do think we've hit some home runs. But the classes that are here that are playing for us are tremendous classes. So, every class has to come in and prove themselves, right? And we challenge them, like, who's the best recruiting class? Well, that shows up 4 years from now. But, where we are right now is really probably what gives me so much confidence that we've been able to lock down and land some really national recruits that, maybe in years past this program hadn't been able to do. And some of that's because of our approach to it, but some is also from the success of our program right now, right? When you begin to have success and you can show that meaningful consistency on the field and where your program's going, it really helps. So what a compliment to our players here now, the guys who've been playing for us these last few years, and what they've been able to do that have given us this opportunity to bring such a strong class here.
Yeah. Another thing you guys have been able to do that's kind of different for the fall, you've split up into groups again for some inter-team competitions, I believe. What are some of those, and who are some of the early leaders? What are you doing with the guys?
All right, so we're tagging it the Wildcat Cup, right? And so we're using some of our hours. You get 12 hours a week, and there's only but so much football you can do, in those. And so there's a Madden tournament going on, right now, and so we did break them up in teams. We had a draft, right? So eight coaches are the leaders of the draft. We televised the first 2 rounds of the draft. One of the more enjoyable things I've done over the last 4 months. I'll say that I really enjoyed it. I gave draft grades out to our coaches. We didn't publicize those. I didn't want to hurt anybody's feelings. And then we've begun that competition. So we had a crossbar team challenge where there's a game that our kids play when sometimes they get out to practice trying to hit the crossbar. Everybody wants to be a quarterback, and so there's a challenge. Which team? Everybody on the team had to hit the crossbar once from 10 yards away. That sounds wildly simple, but timed. And so we did that last night. And I think the winning team was just a little over 5 minutes. I think the team that came in last was a little over 9 minutes. So there's a disparity. But so just trying to create some opportunities for our guys to grow together, right? Because, to me, I think that's been, in these first 3 or 4 weeks, probably been the toughest thing for me personally, leading the program, is how do we connect our guys on a personal level? Because, we are social distancing. We have to work in small groups. And so that was the other thing. We're working in small groups anyway. So let's put them on teams that they're not all working with freshmen, or our seniors are all working with seniors. So they're mixed and mingled. And so then inside these teams, they're going to be workouts. Some of them will be football skill time that we're allowed to do. But then we have these extra hours, or, do you Zoom meet, or do you create some kind of team bonding opportunity? And we decided to create some team bonding opportunity. And that was something we kind of did early on when we got here, just bringing everyone together, because they didn't know our staff. And so that was something we kind of, when we look back hey, what did we do in the early stages of turning the program? That was something like, okay, how can we build on that? How can we make that relevant for what we're going through now? And so it's an ongoing semester thing. Some of it will be revolved around service. Some of it will be revolved around academics. I think there's a Family Feud episode maybe coming up. I don't want to give anything away, right? And so I'm excited. As a head coach, I get to observe, kind of cheer on everybody, and we'll be keeping tabs and giving everybody updates on the Wildcat Cup as we go through the fall.
In the early going, how is your draft? How is your draft grades panned out?
Well,
knowing what you know.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. I think some of my concerns with some of the drafts with the coaches, I think have shown to be true, right? I think some teams are wildly gifted with speed. Maybe one coach went after speed thinking some of the challenges are going to be run oriented. Some of them went after strength. Some of them went after leadership and seniority. So through the first kind of 1.5, I think some of my draft grades are holding true. I think the staff may disagree with you, but it's been fun. I think our staff's enjoyed it, and I think our players are enjoying it, and that's the key. I mean, listen, that's the key. It's a time where it's not normal for any of us, and we trying to find a way to make this the best fall we can make it under what we can control.
Well, in a time of uncertainty, it seems like you guys have obviously kept everyone together, and it's great to see. And we hope that we get to see the Davidson football Wildcats in the spring on the football field at Richardson Stadium. This has been a great episode of Catching Up with the Cats with head coach Scott Abell, presented by Atrium Health. Coach, good luck the rest of the fall.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate it. Go Cats.